Namo Namaha Bhaktam Sarvesham Hardum Swagatam. Welcome back to this channel Sanskrit Sopanam. I hope you are doing great. I'm also good. And in our series of videos where we are covering krit suffixes, how the suffixes they operate, how they convert a dhatu into a new pratipadika. So in these series of videos, in the very last video, that was the part 3, we covered 3 suffixes. Those were yat, nyat and kyap. And all those 3 suffixes, they create a new pratipadika with the meaning that which should be done. Okay, so that is what we saw in the previous video. I hope all of you have seen that. And continuing that, we are covering the remaining 2 suffixes in this video. And these suffixes are tavyat and aniyar. So both these 2 suffixes are even more popular, even more commonly used in the Sanskrit literature. So we are going to cover these 2 suffixes now. So how they operate, how they convert a dhatu into pratipadika, all this we will see with few examples. So without wasting any more time, let's quickly dive in today's video. Okay, so in this part 4 of krit suffixes, we are going to cover the remaining 2 suffixes. I hope all of you have seen the previous videos. So all of you are already aware of this krit suffix category, that to convert a dhatu, to create a new pratipadika, we use this krit suffixes. Okay, and just like the 3 suffixes that we covered in the previous video, that from a verbal root, if you have to get a pratipadika with this meaning. So to create a word with this meaning from a dhatu, we use those 3 suffixes plus these 2. Tavyat and aniyar, that we are going to cover in this particular video. And so we are going to start with the first suffix for today, tavyat suffix. Okay, so here we have all the details related to tavyat suffix. So what does it denote? We already know that it creates a new pratipadika with this meaning, that which should be done. Then what is a it letter? So in this entire name of the suffix tavyat, this takara, this ta is the it letter. So what remains, this tavya, this is the main letter. This is the main content of the suffix. And then we have the required modifications. So see, since we don't have any special kind of it letter, so the default modification applies. Default modification is guna of last ik and guna of penultimate short ik. And ik pratyahara, this covers all the simple vowels except a and a. Okay, so I am just repeating these points. All these points we have covered in the previous videos. So this ik pratyahara, all the simple vowels except a and dirgha a. Okay, so if a dhatu is ending with any ik vowel, so the guna happens. And if the dhatu has a second last, has a penultimate short ik vowel, so the guna happens. Basically, these are the 2 very common modifications that we see with almost all the suffix, unless we have something else going on, unless we have something special going on. Okay, and then we have this additional modification, that an optional it agama is possible. Okay, and this modification, no, we have already seen this same modification with a trich suffix. And what is this it agama? So in this particular video, we are going to understand this it agama also. But out of all the suffixes that we have covered so far, only the trich suffix that we covered first and this tavyat suffix so far, they have this modification, that is optional it agama. Okay, so anyways, this is the entire detail for the tavyat suffix. I hope this is clear. And now let us take the first example, pathitavya. So this new word, this new pratipadika, pathitavya, this means that which should be studied. Okay, why? Because this pathitavya, this is coming from, as you can already guess, the dhatu pat dhatu. Pat dhatu means to study, to read. Okay, so we have this pat dhatu which we are modifying using tavyat pratyaya. So since our dhatu here, it does not have any last vowel, so guna of last ik not possible. And then the second modification, guna of penultimate short ik. So here in this particular dhatu pat, the penultimate, the second last letter is a risva a. And since this a, this does not belong to this ik pratyahara. Okay, so since we don't have a penultimate short ik, then this modification also is not possible. So then the pat dhatu, this will remain like this, pat. Okay, and then we have this optional it agama, which in our case here is possible. And I told you, it agama, this basically means that you get an e between this dhatu and the pratyay. So due to this it agama, we'll get this e. And then for tavyat, we already know the main content, the main part that attaches is this tavya. Okay, so we have this entire arrangement. We will just combine them together. So pat e tavya, this becomes pathitavya, that which should be read, that which should be studied. Okay, and now what we saw there was an optional it agama happens. So far we know that it agama, this basically means that between a dhatu and a pratyay, an additional e, additional ikara comes. So this is what we know about it agama. So see, there are 2 rules that govern this it agama. One rule is associated with the dhatu, one rule is associated with the pratyaya. So first let us see what the rule that is associated with the pratyaya. So the rule says, if a pratyaya if it is starting with any consonant except ya. So if a pratyaya, again I repeat, if a pratyaya is starting with any consonant except ya, so all those pratyaya will take the it agama. Okay. So for example, we had the first pratyaya we covered, trich. So trich there. This is the entire name, but we don't have to concern ourselves with the entire name of the pratyaya. We are only concerned with the main content, the main part of the pratyaya that gets added. So for trich, we saw the main content was 3. And 3 here, this is starting with a ta. It is starting with a takara. So for trich, we saw it agama was possible. Then we saw other pratyayas. We saw novel pratyaya. So in the case of novel pratyaya, the main content was vu. And that vu further modified into aka. So since here the main content is aka, it is not starting with any consonant. So it agama was not possible. Then what we saw was, we saw quip. Their quip also, the main content was essentially nothing. It was 0 because the main content was V, which again gets elided, which gets lopa. So we don't have any main content as such. So there also it agama not possible. Then all the pratyas that we covered in the last video, yat, nyat and kyap. For all these pratyaya, the main content was ya. So again, pratyaya starting with any consonant except ya. So since the main content here is starting with a ya, so there also it agama was not possible. And now coming to our this pratyaya, that is tavyat pratyaya. So for this tavyat pratyaya, the main content is tavya. Again, tavya is starting with a ta, takara. So for tavyat also, it agama, it is possible. So this is the condition that the pratyaya, that the suffix has to satisfy. Now coming to the dhatu part. And so it agama is only possible for dhatus that are set dhatu. Okay, so there is a kind of a categorization. You have anit dhatu and you have set dhatu. See, again, all these two names, no, anit and set. This is basically, set is basically saying sa it. That one which is along with this it. And this anit, this basically means unit. That without it. So anit and set, this is a categorization that is done for all the dhatus that are available in the dhatu kosha. So all those dhatus that are categorized as set dhatu, those dhatus only can take it agama. And now the question will come, how do I know what dhatu is set or anit? So for that you have to refer to a dhatu kosha. So for example, we can go to the Ashtadhyayi website. Okay, so for those who are not aware of this website, this is a ashtadhyayi.com where you get the entire Ashtadhyayi digital version. Okay. So here if you will see the dhatu kosha, the dhatu patha. So along with any dhatu, say bhu dhatu, you have all these different categories that are mentioned. And here you see this set. So bhu dhatu is a set dhatu. And similarly for all these dhatu, you will find this, whether it is a set or anit. And you can also search for a specific dhatu. So suppose I want to check if pat, it is a set or anit dhatu. So I'll just search pat and you can see here that it is a set dhatu. So it agama is possible. And similarly, let us search for another dhatu. Let us search for kri dhatu. And so as you can see, for kri dhatu, it is a anit dhatu. So it agama is not possible with this kri dhatu. Okay, so like this, you can check in the ashtadhyayi.com whether a dhatu is a set or anit dhatu. If you have any other dhatu kosha, so maybe it is mentioned like S or A. S for set dhatu, A for anit dhatu. Again, but the categorization will be mentioned for the dhatu in any dhatu kosha, any dhatu pata that you follow. So these are the two conditions. One condition, a dhatu has to satisfy, that it has to be a set dhatu, and the next condition, a pratyaya has to satisfy, that the pratyaya, the main content of the pratyaya should start with any consonant except ya. Okay, when these two conditions are met, so the it agama, it is possible and it happens. That is the entire rule of it agama. And so what we saw here, pathitavya, why? Because the pat dhatu, as we just saw, it is a set dhatu. So the condition for dhatu is met, and then tavya. So the main content is starting with a ta. So this condition is also met, and that is why we got this it agama. And so we got this word pathitavya, that which should be studied. Okay, so I hope this it agama, this rule is entirely clear. And with this, let us also move on and take another example, that is this vaktavya. So vaktavya means that which should be spoken, that which should be told. Because the dhatu from which we are getting this pratipadika is vach dhatu. Vach dhatu means essentially the same thing, to speak or to tell. And here we are modifying this dhatu using tavyat pratyaya. So now let us see the guna, if it is possible. So again, since the dhatu here is ending with a consonant, set this guna of last ik not possible. And since as a penultimate letter we have a risva a. So it does not belong to this short ik. So this guna also is not possible. Okay, so the guna modifications, they are not possible. Now optional it agama. Pratyay satisfying its condition. Okay, but this vach dhatu here is a anit dhatu. So the dhatu is not meeting its condition of it agama. So the it agama also is not possible. And by the way, I want to clarify one thing, that if in a dhatu kosha, you will check this particular dhatu vach dhatu. So you will find two different dhatus with the same name vach dhatu, but they have slightly different characteristic. Basically what I mean is, if you see here, there are two kind of vach dhatu. One belongs to adadi gana, one belongs to churadi gana. What are these gana? Again, topic for a different day. But I have taken this particular vach dhatu, and which is a anit dhatu. Okay, and that is why here we are not going to have the it agama. So vach plus we have this tavya. Okay, so I hope this point is clear. And now before combining them, vach plus tavya, we will check for any sandhi possibility. And here there is of course a sandhi possibility. The sandhi is chohu kuhu. And due to this sandhi, this cha varga consonant, this changes into a corresponding ka varga consonant. So this vach, this becomes vak. Okay, so this is a chohu kuhu sandhi. The cha changes into the ka, the kakara. And now we will combine with this tavya. So vaktavya, this is what we get here. Vaktavya, that which should be spoken or told. Okay, so I hope this example was clear. So now let us move on, take this another example, kartavya. Kartavya, again a very common word in Hindi, that which should be done. Basically translates as duty, kartavya. And for this we have the dhatu kri dhatu. Kri dhatu means to do. And we are modifying this dhatu using tavyat pratyay. And now we will check if any modification is possible. So guna of last ik, this modification is possible. Because in our dhatu here, the last vowel is a ri. And ri swara, this belongs to this ik. Okay, so the guna of this ri swara, this will happen. And guna of ri is ar. Okay, so kri dhatu, this will change into kar. This is the modification that will happen. So in our dhatu here, we don't have any penultimate vowel. So this modification is not possible. And then optional it agama. So we already saw that this kri dhatu, this is again a anit dhatu. So anit dhatu, the condition is not met by the dhatu. So this optional it agama, this also is not possible. So basically just one modification, kri, this changed into kar. And then from tavyat, we get this tavya. We simply combine it together and we get this kartavya, that which should be done. Okay, so I hope this example is clear. Now let us move on and take another example. Again a very common Hindi word, gantavya, that means destination. Basically that which should be reached. So that which should be reached is the destination, gantavya. And you can already guess the dhatu. So the dhatu here is the gam dhatu. Gam dhatu means to go. So that gam dhatu modified using tavyat pratyay. And again in this dhatu we don't have any last vowel. So this guna modification not possible. And as the penultimate letter also we have the riswa a. So it does not belong to this short ik. So this modification also not possible. And then this gam dhatu again is a anit dhatu. Again the same thing you can check in the dhatu kosha also, that this gam dhatu is a anit dhatu. So since it is a anit dhatu, so this optional it agama also is not possible. So in that case we are just going to combine them together, gam plus tavya. And now see, when they combine, so a sandhi happens, which is a part of a anuswara sandhi, due to which this gama, this makara of gama, this changes into a anuswara, this changes into the dot. So first this change happens and then yet another sandhi happens that converts this dot again back into the anunasika. And this anuswara sandhi we are already aware of, that when we have to change this anuswara into anunasika, so we check for the next consonant. And whatever varga that consonant belongs to, that anuswara also takes the same anunasika of that same varga. So for this ta varga, the anunasika is that na, that nakara. So that is what happens. Instead of this anuswara, we get this anunasika gan. And then we have this another part, tavya. So gantavya, basically writing like this, gantavya. Okay, so I hope that was clear, that two kind of sandhis are happening here. First this gam, this makara is changing into this anuswara, and then this anuswara again is changing into the vargiya anunasika. So from this gam dhatu, we got this gantavya, that which should be reached. Okay, I hope this example is clear. And now let us take this another example, bodhavya. Bodhavya means that which should be known. So we already know this is coming from the buddha dhatu. Buddha dhatu means to know, to understand in that sense. So we are modifying this dhatu using tavya pratyay. Let us see the modifications. Again, the guna of last ik not possible, because as a last letter you have a consonant. And then we have guna of penultimate short ik. This is possible because as a penultimate letter we have this u. Right? Buddha, the penultimate letter is this u. And this u, this is short and this belongs to this ik. So the guna here is possible for this u. The guna of U is, we all know, it is O. Okay, so budh, this dhatu here, this will change into bodh. Okay, this is the modification that is possible. And then optional it agama. So the buddha dhatu that I have used here is again a anit dhatu. So since it is a anit dhatu, so this optional it agama, it is not possible. So now we are just going to combine this bodh with the tavya. Okay, and we'll check if any sandhi is possible. And here a dhatvam sandhi is possible. So basically there's a sandhi dhatvam sandhi that says that if after a C4, that if after a fourth vargiya consonant, you have a takara or a thakara, so if this happens, so this ta or tha, this changes into this dha. That is why the sandhi is called as dhatvam sandhi. And here in our example, we have bodha, this dha. This dha belongs to C4. After this C4, we have a ta, takara. So as per dhatvam sandhi, this takara, this will change into dha. So basically we have this bodha and then we have this dhavya. And now another sandhi will happen, jashtva sandhi. And jashtva sandhi, I hope, very common sandhi, all of you are aware of. But due to that jashtva sandhi, this dha, this will change into the third, into the C3, the tritiya vyanjan of its varga. So this bodha, this will become bodha. So we have bodha and then we have dhavya. And this is what we combined. And we get this word bodhavya, that which should be known. So again, all these points, take notice of these points, that all the required modifications are there. But again, we have to also in the end check for the sandhi when we are finally combining them. But anyways, with all these examples for tavyat pratyay, I hope this particular suffix is clear. Now let us take a look at another pratyay for the day. That is aniyar pratyay. Okay. And so for this aniyar pratyay now, let us see all the details. So what does it denote? We already know. The same pratipadika with the meaning that which should be done. What is the it letter? So out of this aniyar, this rakara, this is the it letter. So this has to be removed. And what remains, this aniya, this is the main letter. This is the main content that gets added to the dhatu. And now with this main letter, you can already see, since the main content is starting with the a. So is optional it agama possible or not? No, it is not possible. Because for it agama to be possible, the pratyay, the main content of pratyay should start with any consonant except ya. But here, since it is starting with a vowel, so the condition that the pratyay has to meet, that is not met. So the it agama is not possible. Okay, so now just by looking at the pratyay, you can already see if that pratyay will take optional it agama or not, which in the case of aniyar is not possible as we saw. So what are the required modifications? Again, since ra, this is not any special it letter, so just the default required modification, the same modification, that is guna of last ik and guna of penultimate short ik. Okay, the default modifications. So aniyar pratyay, pretty easy to understand. Let us directly see the examples now. And we see this first word, darshaniya. Darshaniya is that which should be seen, darshaniya. And we can already guess it is coming from drish dhatu. So drish dhatu, that means to see. This dhatu is modified using aniyar pratyay. Okay, and here in our dhatu, we don't have any last vowel. So this guna is not possible. But the guna of penultimate short ik, this is possible. Because as a penultimate letter here, drish, we had this riswara. And this riswara, this is both short, riswa, and belongs to this ik pratyahara. So the guna of ri will happen. The guna of ri is ar, we all know. So this drish, this dhatu, this will change into darsh. So this is the modification that will happen. For aniyar, we know the main content is aniya. Okay, so we have this and then no sandhi is possible. So we will just combine them together. Darsh aniya, darshaniya, that which should be seen. So pretty straightforward. I hope it is clear. Now let us see another example. Bhojaniya. Bhojaniya is that which should be eaten, that which should be consumed. And the dhatu from which this pratipadika is derived is bhuj dhatu. Bhuj dhatu means to eat, to consume in that sense. This dhatu is modified using aniyar pratyay. Let us see if any modification is possible. This one we know it is not possible because our dhatu here does not have any last vowel. So this guna is not possible. Guna of penultimate short ik. This again is possible because as a penultimate, as a second last letter, we have this u. The u is short, the u belongs to ik. So the guna of this u, that is o, this is going to happen. So the bhuj dhatu, this is going to be modified as bhoj. Okay. And then no more further modifications are possible. We are just going to combine it with this aniya. No sandhi is possible. So bhojaniya. This is what we get here. Bhojaniya, that which should be consumed. Okay, so see with aniyar how easy it is to create new words. So let us see this another example. Smaraniya. Smaraniya is that which should be remembered. And this again you can all guess is coming from smri dhatu. Smri dhatu means to remember. And to modify this dhatu using aniyar pratyay, we will see for modifications. Guna of last ik. Okay, this is possible here because as a last vowel again we have this ri swara. This ri swara belongs to this ik pratyahara. So the guna will happen. Guna of ri is, we all know, ar. So this dhatu smri, this will change into smar. And then from aniyar we get the aniya. Okay, and now see, there is another sandhi that is going to happen here. The sandhi is natva sandhi, where what happens that we simply combine them together. But smaraniya, that na, this na changes into this na in some cases. That is guided by this natva sandhi. So instead of smaraniya, we get smaraniya. That instead of this na, we get this na, smaraniya, that which should be remembered. Okay, and this particular natva sandhi, you may not know the exact rule of this, but you have already seen it. So balaka changes into balakena in tritiya vibhakti, but rama, it changes into ramena, and that is the natva sandhi happening. So balaka naam, shashti vibhakti bahuvachanam, but rama naam. So instead of this na, you get this na, rama naam. So again a natva sandhi is happening. Basically what is this natva sandhi is, if within a pada this na, this nakara is preceded by a ra, rakara, or a sha, shakara, so that na changes into na. So okay, so that is just the rule, natva sandhi. Again, there are few more additional rules also. I don't want to go deep into that. We are not covering sandhis here, but that is what is happening, natva sandhi. That in this supposed to be entire pada, smaraniya, this na here is preceded by this ra, rakara. So this na changed into this rana. So instead of it staying smaraniya, it became smaraniya due to that natva sandhi. But again, I hope all the rest of the things are clear. Okay, and let us take one last example, chintaniya. Chintaniya is that which should be thought about. Okay, and this again is coming from the dhatu, chinta dhatu. Okay, the chinta dhatu being converted by aniyar pratyay. Again, guna of last ik, not possible because in the last we have a consonant, and guna of penultimate short ik, again not possible. Because as a penultimate letter we have this nakara. So no penultimate short ik, so this guna also not possible. So this chinta will remain like this. And from aniyar we get this aniya. We'll just simply combine them. No sandhi possible. So chintaniya. This is what we get here. Chintaniya. That which should be thought about. As simple as it can get. Okay. And with this we cover the remaining two, tavyat and aniyar pratyay also. So we basically saw 5 pratyay. Yat, nyat, kyap, tavyat, aniyar, all these 5 pratyay that create a pratipadika from a dhatu, and the meaning that that pratipadika gives is that which should be done. And apart from this, we also saw what are the 2 conditions for it agama. So one condition has to be met by a dhatu, it has to be a set dhatu, and one condition has to be met by a pratyay, that the main content of pratyay should start with any consonant except ya. So if these 2 conditions are met, so we have this it agama also. So we saw that also. I hope all these rules, all these modifications, it is at least some fun, because even though these are rules and some of the rules you have to memorize, you have to learn, but still I think it is fun that from this dhatu you are creating new words, new pratipadikas. So I hope it is fun so far. I hope everything is clear so far. If not, you can revisit those previous videos, and if still a doubt remains, again we are going to cover other pratyaya, other suffixes also. So that doubt may be covered, may be rectified with few more additional practice. Okay, so just stay patient, enjoy this journey. I'll meet you in another video with another set of pratyaya. Until then, stay awesome, stay happy, keep learning Sanskrit. Vayam punha milamaha. Dhanyavad.